Good afternoon, class.
Good afternoon, Teacher Isaiah.
Hey, how are you this afternoon?
We're fine, Teacher.
Hey, that's good to hear. So before we proceed to our discussion this afternoon, I want you to be reminded of some of the important house rules of while we are discussing. What will you do when someone wants to answer? Okay, well then.
Do not talk with seatmates and listen carefully, Teacher.
Thank you. How about when someone is speaking?
Do not talk with seatmates
What during our discussion and activities, what will you do then? Okay, well then.
participate, Teacher.
Okay, very good. So I will expect those from you, class, okay? And I want you to be reminded that I have here the behavioral chart and the scoreboard. So if you behave well and participate in our discussion and activities, you will be given additional points. Is that clear? Okay. So before we proceed to our new lesson, let us check first if you still remember our last discussion. And to do that, we will have a quick activity. So, this activity is called Where is My Other Half? The class will be divided into two groups, the group 1 and the group 2. And each group will be given papers that are already cut into pieces. So I have here the papers. And what you're going to do is put the papers together to find out the group of words that are written on it. And after that, you will identify if the paper contains an independent clause or a dependent clause. And you will be given 3 minutes to do the task. Are my instructions clear, class?
Yes, Teacher.
Okay, so here is for group 1 and for group 2. So are you all ready? Okay, so your time starts now. So class, after doing the activity, how will you define an independent clause and a dependent clause? Yes, Helen?
An independent clause is a clause that can stand against or that's absolutely no. While dependent clause is a clause that can stand alone and express including no Teacher.
Very good. It seems that you have really listened carefully to our last discussion. So today, class, for our new lesson, I want you to read the objectives for this afternoon's discussion. Can you read?
Share insights about the value of accepting one's imperfection. Analyze the message written in the story that led of the water discussed. Identify the position and adjectives. Present a point and infographics about one's imperfection.
Okay, thank you, class. So today, we will be discussing a new lesson. And for that, you will be watching a short story video titled The Tale of the Water Bearer's Pot. Okay, so while doing so, you need to understand the moral it wants to tell. Are my instructions clear, class?
Yes, Teacher.
Okay, so here is the video. Now, class, after watching The Tale of the Water Bearer's Pots, who do you think are the characters? Yes? Talia?
The water bearer, the crock pot, and the perfect pot picture.
You are correct. Okay, so why is it that the cracked pot feels inferior to the perfect pot? Yes, Althea?
Because the ink that not made useless pictures.
Okay, very good. That's a good answer. Now, how do you compare yourself to a perfect pot or to a cracked pot? Yes, Valen?
I can compare myself as a cracked pot because I believe that nobody is perfect. The crack symbolizes the weakness of a person.
Yes, that's a good answer. Now, what do you think is the moral of the story? Yes, Valen?
The moral that I got from the story is that we are all cracked pots who have different perfections in this world. Nothing goes to waste. We may think that we are efficient in our life, but these flaws can turn out to be a blessing.
That's a very good idea. It seems that you have really learned a lot from the story. Now, this class, we will read the text of the story you have watched. So, eyes here, class. So we will read now the text of the tale of the water bearer's pot. Okay, class, kindly read.
A water bearer in India had two large pots which hung on its end to the wall that he carried across his neck. One of the pots had a crack in it, and while the other pot was perfect and always delivered a full portion.
Now, class, after reading the text of the tale, what do you think is the conflict of the story? Yes, Valen?
The conflict lies in the cracked pot in itself, teacher. It's because the cracked pot feels insecure about his job.
You are correct. Now, what do you think, what happened when the water bearer told him the importance of cracked pot in his life? Yes, Valen?
The cracked pot no longer feels insecure about his imperfection, and he realized his importance, teacher.
Now, very good. So now, class, I have picked out 3 sentences out from the text that you have just read. So, and these sentences have underlined words. Please read the following sentences, class.
I want you to notice the beautiful flowers along the path.
The second sentence,
I am ashamed of myself.
and the last one.
The other path, the perfect one, delivered a full portion of water.
Thank you. Now, class, in these following sentences, what can you observe with the underlined words? Yes, Valen?
The underlined words are descripted.
Okay, very good. Now, what are those words? What are those words that are underlined?
Beautiful, ashamed, and perfect, teacher.
You are right. So, those 3 words, beautiful, ashamed, perfect. What do you call those words? That's a good answer. Adjectives are words that describe nouns. So, now in these 3 given sentences, what can you observe with the placement of adjectives to the nouns that they describe? Yes, Valen?
One adjective is positioned next to the noun it describes, and the other are separate from the noun's feature.
Very good. That's a good answer. So, class, these sentences have something to do with our discussion this afternoon. We will discuss about the positions of adjectives in different sentences. So, before we proceed to the positions of adjectives, let us first define what are adjectives. Can you read?
Adjectives describe a noun or pronoun. This simplifying means that adjectives exchange individuals or information to the subject or noun in the sentence.
Okay, thank you. Now, adjectives describe a noun or a pronoun. Now, in this example, can you read example?
Water bearer in India has 2 large pots.
Okay, so in this sentence, we have here underlined words, large pots. So in the words large pots, we have here, what do you think is the adjective? The word large. So large is the adjective, and the noun that it describes is the word pot. The pot. Okay, so it is in this example we can observe that the word large, the adjective large, describes the noun to the positions of adjectives. We have here first the attributive position. Can you read the definition?
The adjective exists before a noun is described.
So that means that the first position of adjectives is that it exists before a noun it describes. So I have here an example.
I want you
Can you read?
to notice the beautiful flowers along the path.
So the underlined words here are beautiful flowers. So in these words, what word do you think is the adjective? Beautiful, very good. And the word that it describes is flowers, which is a noun. So beautiful flowers, why do you think it is attributive position? It is because the adjective beautiful exists or is placed before the noun, which is flowers. Okay, is it clear? So it would be ungrammatical if the sentence goes this way. I want you to notice the flowers beautiful along the path. So it is ungrammatical. The adjective should be placed before the noun it describes. Is it clear, class? Okay, now we have here another example. Can you read?
The crack pot arrived only half full.
Okay, so the underlined words here are crack pot. So, what word do you think is the adjective? Cracked, very good. So cracked is the adjective and the second word pot is the noun. So we can observe that the adjective cracked is placed before the noun it describes. It would be ungrammatical if the sentence goes this way. The pot cracked arrived only half full. So the sentence would be grammatical if the adjective and the noun it describes would be interchanged. So that is for the first position of adjectives. Now let's proceed to the second one. Can you read?
The adjective is after a linking verb.
Okay, so now in predicative position, the adjective is placed after a linking verb. And be reminded that linking verbs are verbs that join the subject to a word that gives information about the subject. Linking verbs may include is, was, where, been, and other. So those are some of the common linking verbs. So I have here an example. Can you read?
I am ashamed of myself.
So in this sentence, I am ashamed of myself. The underlined words are I'm ashamed. So what word do you think is the adjective? Ashamed, yes. Very good, you are right. So the adjective here is ashamed. And what can you observe? It is placed after the linking verb am. Okay, so that is the predicative position. So if the sentence goes this way, I ashamed am of myself. You think it is grammatical? No, it is not. So in predicative position, the adjective must be placed after a linking verb. Okay, I have here another example. Can you read?
It was perceived to be together everywhere.
So the underlined words are was perceived. So the adjective here is what? Perceived, very good. And the linking verb is was, yes. So, as defined, the adjective is placed after the linking verb was. And it would be grammatical if the sentence goes this way. It perceived was to be a bitter failure. So the sentence is ambiguous or it can hardly understood. So that is why in predicative position, the adjective must be placed after the linking verb. Now let's proceed to the second slide. Note that there are some certain adjectives wherein it could take two of the positions. So there are adjectives. There are some sentences that the adjectives could be in attributive position and predicative position. So I have here examples. Can you read?
I want you to notice the beautiful flowers along the path.
The second one, please.
I want you to notice the flowers along the path that are beautiful.
So, comparing the two sentences, you can observe that the adjectives are placed differently, and still the sentences are grammatical. In the first sentence, beautiful flowers, what can you observe with the adjective? Yes, the adjective is placed before the noun that it describes, and that is in attributive position. While in the second sentence, the adjective beautiful is what? Is placed after the linking verb are, and it is in the position of it is in the predicative position. So as you can observe, the adjectives are placed differently, but still the sentences are grammatical. Next example. Can you read?
A water in India had two large floods. A water bearer in India had two floods that were large.
Okay, so these two sentences have the same case with it, compared to the last example. So in the first sentence, the underlined words are large floods, which is in attributive position. Why? Because the adjective large is placed before the noun it describes. And the second one is in predicative position. Why? Because the adjective, large, is placed after the linking verb where. So that is in the predicative position. So last position of adjective is a positive position. Can you read?
Adjective is used in the opposite.
Yes, correct. Okay, thank you. So in a positive position, as defined, the adjective exists in the appositive. So be reminded that an appositive is a noun or phrase that renames or modifies another noun. So I have here an example. Can you read?
The other pot, the perfect one, delivered a full portion of water.
Okay, so in this example, in this sentence, there are underlined words again. So which do you think is the adjective? Yes, very good. The perfect one. It is the adjective, and the noun it describes is one. Very good. So the adjective, the perfect one here, functions as an appositive. That is why the adjective is in a positive position, because the adjective in the sentence functions as an appositive. Another example is, can you read?
India, the setting of the story is where the tale
Originated. Yes, thank you. So the same as the last example, we have here two underlined phrases or words. The adjective in the sentence is the setting of the story, while the noun that it describes is India. So the adjective, the setting of the story, functions as an appositive. That is why the adjective is in a positive position. So is the discussion clear, class? Okay, very good. Okay, class. So let us all remember that in grammar, we need to use and place the words appropriately so that misinterpretation of meanings can be prevented. So in our discussion today, what are the three positions of adjectives? Yes, Talia?
Attributive position, predicative position, and appositive position.
Very good, thank you. So why do you think there is a need for us to learn about the positions of adjectives? Yes, Wellen?
When learning English, it makes sense to know these rules because they will help you put your words in the right organization.
Yes, you are right. So this time, class, for you to understand more about our discussion this afternoon, we will have have an activity. The class will be divided into three. The first group will be the team water bearer. The second group will be the cracked pot. And the third group will be the perfect pot. And so the first, each group will be assigned a task. The team water bearer will answer or will give comments to the post I have here, Facebook post I have here. So you are going to give comments on the picture. And make sure that in your comments, you have to apply or use the different positions of adjectives. Are my instructions clear, class?
Yes,
So I am here for group team water bearer. And for the second team, the team crackpot, you will have a Q&A. You will be given a question, and in your answer, you have to use or incorporate the use of the different positions of adjectives. Right here, the questions. Okay, and for the last group, for the team perfect pot, you will interpret a sketch. So the sketch here, I have here the sketch, and in this sketch, yes, you will have your own meaning or interpretation about this. And in your explanation, you also need to incorporate the use of the different positions of adjectives. Okay, are my instructions clear, class? I am here for group to do it. Okay, so you will be given 15 minutes to do the text. And your time starts now. Congratulations, class. You have done well in our activities. So now, class, for you to understand more about the value of one's imperfections, I want you to listen to a song. It is titled Flaws by Kira Shear. So this song is about loving your own imperfections or accepting your flaws. So while listening to this song, I want you to understand the lyrics and the message it wants to tell. So I have here the lyrics in the screen so that you can understand the lyrics. So, okay. So how did you find the song, class? Yes, Talia?
The song is very motivating teachers and tells us why it is important to accept the flaws of others and not only of yours.
That's a good answer, thank you. Now, as a youth, what advice can you give to your fellow young people, those who cannot accept their flaws or their imperfections? Yes, Wellen?
learn to accept your flaws, for this will teach you how to find your own battles and win. When you do this, you won't ever lie considering if you're good enough for others as long as you feel good enough for yourself.
Thank you, that's a very good idea. Now, this time, class, we will have another activity. The class will be divided into two groups. This group will be the group 1 and the group 2. And each group will receive a different task. And be reminded that in your test, you must show your understanding of accepting one's imperfections. And you must not forget to incorporate the different positions of adjectives. So I have here. So the group 1 will create a poem, and the group 2 will create an infographics. So here is your task card and group 2. And before that, please do not forget that your outputs will be rated according to this criteria. We have here the content, 40%, the creativity and originality, 20%, the use of positions of adjectives, 25%, and delivery, 15% for a total of 100%. You will be given 10 minutes to prepare. So class, you may now proceed to your task. So now class, to test your understanding about our discussion this afternoon, we will have another activity. But now, you will be grouped into 3. And it is according to the color of your name tags. Those who have blue color on their name tags will be the group 1. And those who have yellow are the group 2. And those who are in red name tags are the group 3. Now I will give you your test card. Here is for group 1, group 2, and for group 3. Okay, class? Kindly read your task.
With the use of different structuring adjectives, make a sentence about the importance of embracing imperfection with the given adjectives.
Thank you. And for the group 2, what is your task?
This is a slogan that's outlining.
Okay, thank you. Now for the group 3.
Enunciate the advocacy regarding embracing imperfection. After that, you are to make an advertisement on this. Write your script on the space provided and incorporating the use of different position and adjectives.
Okay, thank you. So, to do your task, you will be given 10 minutes. Okay, are my instructions clear, class?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, thank you, class. You have done well in your activities. So, based on our behavioral chart and our scoreboard, we have now the winner. And our winner is the Team Water Bearer. So, Team Cracked Pot and Team Perfect Pot, please stand. Let us give a fireworks club for the winning group. And the club goes this way. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Please be seated. Now, class, I am glad that you have shown great learning in our activities and discussion this afternoon. Remember that English grammar is more rigid than it appears. That is why learning the different positions of adjectives is important because it helps us to put an appropriate order and placement of the words that we use to avoid misinterpretations of meanings. So, class, for you to understand more about the different positions of adjectives, we have here a short quiz. It is a 10-item quiz. So, I have here the papers. You will answer here. Kindly get one and pause. So, you will be given 5 minutes to answer that. Okay, class, to further assess your understanding about our discussion this afternoon, I have here an assignment for you. Can you read?
Make a reaction and go through a 3-minute video of yourself. Incorporate the use of different position of adjectives in your reflection.
Okay, thank you. Please be reminded that your assignment will be submitted in our next discussion. Are the instructions clear, class?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, that is all for today. Goodbye, class.
Goodbye and thank you, teacher Isaiah.